Welcome to Eagle News. Hello, I'm Aubrey.
I'm Kendrick.
And I'm Kendall.
We are so glad you could join us today. In today's episode, we will report about Eversole Run middle school news, national news, Ohio news, teacher focus, science news, riddles, technology news, and much, much more.
In world news, Hiroshi Endo is an engineer. He builds robots and other machines. One of his robots was sent into space in 2010. His next robot was made for use on Earth. The Fukushima nuclear plant made power for Japan. Then in 2011, the nuclear plant had a very bad accident. There was an earthquake and tsunami. The power plant had a meltdown. The meltdown created a large amount of radiation. Even a little bit of radiation can hurt living things. People could not clean the nuclear plant. Radiation made it unsafe. But robots are machines, not living things. Radiation hurts them much less. Wanted, lots of robots. Endo began building a robot to help clean the power plant. It was not an easy robot to build. Endo said that nuclear reactors are man-made. What is going on inside the reactor is totally unknown. He did not know what kind of robot he needed. Engineers like Endo could not build just one kind of robot to clean the plant. They built many kinds of robots to do different things. More than 100 kinds of robots work at Fukushima. They can fly, walk, crawl, and move underwater. Most important, they can work in radiation that would kill a person. It is now safe enough for people to work in parts of the nuclear plant thanks to the robots.
In world news, Tesla is a 17-year-old electric eel at Miami Zoo in Florida, and named after Nikola Tesla, a scientist and inventor who is famous for his work with electricity. Just like Tesla, electric eels are also famous for electricity. They can produce it. Electric eels are a type of knife fish that use electricity to defend themselves and to stun the animals they hunt for food. An electric eel can produce over 800 volts of electricity. That's enough to shock a horse off its feet. At 4 feet long, Tesla is not a small fish, but its electrical zapping power makes him tricky to handle and move to the hospital. The workers use special rubber gloves and nets. Electricity doesn't travel well through rubber, so the gloves protected them from getting shocked. Then they placed Tesla in a container with water that had anesthesia drugs in it. And anesthesia is a medicine that puts an animal into a kind of sleep. It prevents the animal from moving and it stops them from feeling pain during an operation. Tesla is now feeling much better.
On the date in history, on November 12, 1954, Ellis Island, the gateway to America, shuts its doors after processing more than 12 million immigrants since opening in 1892. Today, tens of millions of Americans can trace with their roots through Ellis Island, located in New York Harbor off the New Jersey coast and named for merchant Samuel Ellis, who owned the land in the 1770s.
In National Day calendar news, today is National Pizza with the Works except Anchovies Day and National Chicken Soup for the Soul Day.
Fun facts of the day. Tiger skin is actually striped, just like their fur. Also, no two fur patterns are alike.
In language arts news, what is a metaphor? A metaphor is a figure of speech that is used to make a comparison between two things that aren't alike but do have something in common. Unlike a simile, where two things are compared directly using like or as, a metaphor's comparison is more indirect, usually made by stating something is something else. A metaphor is very expressive. It is not meant to be taken literally. You may have to work a little to find the meaning in a metaphor. For example, a river and tears aren't very alike. One is a body of water in nature, and while the others can be produced by our eyes. They do have one thing in common, though. Both are a type of water that flows. A metaphor uses this similarity to help the writer make a point. Her tears were a river flowing down her cheeks. As the river is so much larger than a few tears, the metaphor is a creative way of saying that the person is crying a lot. There are so many tears that they remind the writer of a river. Metaphors help writers and poets make a point in a more interesting way. They also help the reader see something from a new perspective by describing tears as a river. For example, the writer found a creative way to describe how great the girl's sadness was and helped the reader see a similarity between tears and a river and that they might not have noticed before. This makes reading more fun and interesting.
In Eagle sports news, it was another great week of Eversole Eagle athletics. Our winter sports program is in full swing. The boys and girls basketball team started practice in preparation for their inaugural seasons. Our competition cheerleading squad continued their preparation for their upcoming season. Meanwhile, the basketball sideline cheerleading team started getting ready for their season as well. Our wrestling team had a great week working hard on fundamentals. They are still accepting team members. All are welcome, but we especially are in need of participants in weight classes below 90 and above 160 pounds. If you are interested, practices are 3:15 to 5 p.m. in the Eversole Run Middle School Auxiliary Gym. All are welcome. Lastly, we wanted to thank all parents who attended Winter Meet the Coach tonight. It was great to see such positive support of our Eversole Eagle athletic program. Go Eagles!
For this week's weekly riddle, what starts with the letter E and ends with the letter E and only contains one letter? Answer, envelope.
In science news, what is the conservation of energy? This law states that energy is never created or destroyed. It is only changed from one state to another. One example is the chemical energy in food that we turn into kinetic energy when we move. The conservation of energy in a physical system can be illustrated by changes in the mechanical energy of a falling object. Mechanical energy consists of two types of energy: potential or stored energy, and kinetic energy, the energy of motion. Put in another way, the total amount of mechanical energy in an object is the sum of its potential and kinetic energy. Although the amount of mechanical energy in the object is constant, the proportion of potential and kinetic energy changes as the object moves. For example, all of the mechanical energy in the boulder at rest on a hilltop is potential energy. When the boulder falls, some of its potential energy changes into kinetic energy. The faster the boulder moves, the greater its kinetic energy is, and the less its potential energy is. As the boulder slows, the amount of kinetic energy decreases and the amount of potential energy increases. When the boulder stops moving at the bottom of the hill, all of the kinetic energy is contained and will have changed into potential energy.
In math news, what is scientific notation? Did you know that the distance from Earth to the Sun is 92,955,807 miles? That's a big number. An even bigger number is the distance from Earth to Pluto. 4,670,000,000 miles. That's a lot of zeros. Scientists deal with really small numbers too. For example, the diameter of a hydrogen atom is 0.00000001 centimeters. Very big and very small numbers can be a pain to deal with. Who wants to write out all of those zeros every time they have to write a really big or a really small number? That's why we have scientific notation, a method of writing very large or very small numbers with a decimal multiplied by a power of 10. For example, we would write 4,670,000,000 in scientific notation as 4.67 times 10 to the 9th power. Hi, I'm Aubrey, and this is this weekend's weather. On Friday, we have a high of 55 degrees, a low of 34 degrees, and a 20% chance of rain. On Saturday, we have a high of 42 degrees, a low of 32 degrees, and a 10% chance of rain. And on Sunday, we have a high of 41 degrees, a low of 31 degrees, and a 50% chance of rain. Have a good weekend!
In social studies news, what was the Roman Empire? The Roman Empire was the largest empire of the ancient world. Its capital was Rome, and its empire was based in the Mediterranean. The empire dates from 27 BC, when Octavian became the Emperor Augustus, until it fell in 476 AD, marking the end of the ancient world and the beginning of the Middle Ages, or Dark Ages. The empire was the third stage of ancient Rome. Rome was first ruled by Roman kings, then by the Roman Republic, then by an emperor. Many modern lands were once part of the Roman Empire. For example, Britain, Spain, Portugal, France, Italy, Greece, Turkey, Germany, Egypt, Switzerland, and the north coast of Africa. The main language was the Roman Empire, with Latin as an important secondary language, especially in the eastern provinces. The western half of the Roman Empire lasted for about 500 years till the barbarian general Odoacer deposed its final emperor Romulus Augustus. On the other hand, the eastern half, consisting of the Balkans, Anatolia. The Levant and Egypt continued for about 1,000 years more. The Levant and Egypt were lost to the Arabs in the 8th century. The eastern part was called the Byzantine Empire. Its capital was Constantinople, now called Istanbul. Ancient Rome had a large influence on the modern world. Though it has been thousands of years since the Roman Empire flourished, we can still see evidence of it in our art, architecture, technology, literature, language, and law. From bridges and stadiums to books and the words we hear every day, the ancient Romans have left their mark on our world.
In health news, how does the body fight disease? To be immune means to be protected, so it makes sense that the body system that helps fight off sickness is called the immune system. The immune system is made up of a network of cells, tissues, and organs that work together to protect the body. White blood cells, also called leukocytes, are part of this defense system. These are two basic types of these germ-fighting cells: phagocytes, which chew up invading germs, and lymphocytes, which allow the body to remember and recognize previous invaders. Leukocytes are found in lots of places, including your spleen, an organ in your belly that filters blood and helps fight infections. Leukocytes can also be found in bone marrow, which is a thick, spongy jelly inside of your bones. So you have this great system in place. Is it enough to keep you from getting sick? Well, everyone gets sick sometimes. But your immune system helps you get well again. And if you've had your shots, also called the vaccine, your body is extra prepared to fight off serious illnesses that your immune system alone might not handle very well. If you get the shot that covers measles, for instance, it can protect you from getting measles if you're ever exposed to it. Healthy kids can help their immune systems by washing their hands regularly to prevent infections, eating nutritious foods, getting plenty of exercise, getting enough sleep, and getting regular medical checkups. And if you feel great today, thank your immune system.
In social and emotional news, what is self-regulation? Self-regulation deals with your ability not just to know your emotions, but manage them. Sometimes that might mean handling them as they come up. If you get angry, knowing how to calm yourself down is important. However, it can also deal with managing the emotions you will face.
Inspirational quote of the day: success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts.
Next up is Eagle Recognition Awards. If you hear your name, please go to the office and see Mrs. Moses to claim your prize. Now for the Eagle Recognition Awards.
Ayushi Mahetra for being service-minded, acceptance, ownership, and respect by Mr. Phelps.
Sharinka Bandry for being service-minded from Mr. Simmons.
Tylen Fluitt for being service-minded by Mrs. Heath.
Dylan Forney for being service-minded by Miss Greco.
Ashton Chang for being service-minded from Mr. Nemeth.
And Emily Mercer for being service-minded by Mrs. Cover.
Well, that's Eagle News for today. If you have a story you would like to have featured on Eagle News, please let Mr. McNeil know. Here at Eversole, we are creating a community of excellence by being positive, working hard, and respecting the uniqueness of ourselves and each other. Have an amazing day.